If you're in marketing or creating content, you know the feeling, right? That constant, nagging pressure to just create more. More posts, more videos, more everything. It's like you're on a treadmill that just won't stop. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? In this explainer, we're going to unpack a system that's designed to completely flip that script. A strategy to multiply your impact without actually multiplying your workload. We're talking about the Content Waterfall.
The endless scramble for new content is a lie. What if the secret to conquering every social platform wasn't creating more, but simply multiplying the one great thing you already have? This quote right here? This is the core idea, and it challenges pretty much everything we've been taught. That constant hunt for the next new thing is a trap. It just leads to burnout and, funny enough, marketing that doesn't even work as well. The smartest brands out there aren't running like content factories. No, they're strategic multipliers. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how they do it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to define the problem, what I call the content creation paradox. Then, we'll get right into the solution, the waterfall system itself. From there, we'll deconstruct how it works, explore the psychology that makes it so darn effective, and then I'll give you a practical blueprint to actually put it into action. By the end of this, you'll see how to make your message feel completely inevitable.
So, let's really dig into the problem here. For most of us, the issue isn't a lack of ideas. Not at all. It's this obsession with originality, and it's all fueled by a broken, totally inefficient system. We've been told that to win, we need this constant stream of brand new thoughts. But that's just a flawed idea. It mistakes being new for having an impact, and it mistakes volume for value. It creates a machine that's basically designed for exhaustion, not for getting results.
This slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old school way. A team spends a whole quarter building one big, heroic asset, like a huge white paper. But on the right, that's our reality now. The world's splintered into YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it, and every single one of them demands its own native content every single day. The old model just can't keep up. The bottleneck isn't our creativity. It's the insane expectation of creating something unique and high quality for every channel all the time.
And this number, this is what shows you the real scale of the challenge. See, it's pretty well known that a customer needs to see your message multiple times before they trust you enough to do anything. In today's noisy world, that number is somewhere between 7 and 10. Just think about that for a second. Your audience needs to see or hear your core message up to 10 times. How on earth can you do that if you're trying to invent something new every single time? The honest answer is, you can't. You need a system that's built for smart, strategic repetition. And that is exactly what the Content Waterfall is. So, if the old way is broken, what's the fix? Well, it's time to stop thinking like content creators and start thinking like content engineers. And this is where we bring in the Content Waterfall. Not just as an idea, but as a system. It's a blueprint specifically designed to solve that distribution problem by focusing on multiplication, not on endless invention. Let's build it out step by step.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts right here, with the pillar piece. This is the foundation of the entire system, your one single high-investment asset. We're talking about a massive guide, an in-depth webinar, or a deep dive research report. So for example, a 1-hour webinar on AI for small business. This becomes your source of truth. Everything else is going to flow from this. You pour your best ideas, your most valuable data, all of it into this one single piece. Now, once you have that pillar, you don't just hit publish and pray. No way. The next step is to break it down into what we call sub-pillars. These are valuable mid-size assets that are designed to capture and nurture leads. So that 1-hour webinar, that could become a 5-part email course on implementing AI tools, or a downloadable checklist of the top 10 AI platforms, or even a slide share of the key decks. Each subpillar takes a core concept and just reframes it, asking for a little bit more commitment from your audience. And this is where the magic really happens. Those subpillars are then, you could say, atomized into a high volume of micro-content. These are the little bite-sized snippets that are perfectly optimized for social media. That checklist of the top 10 AI platforms? Well, each one of those platforms can become its own quote card for Instagram, a short video clip for TikTok, a data point for Twitter, or a slide in a LinkedIn carousel. This is how you generate those 7 to 10 touch points. You're not creating new ideas, you're just repackaging the core truth from your pillar. We've seen the blueprint, now let's pop the hood and really look at the engine. How does this top-down disassembly process actually work as an efficiency machine? Because it's not just about repurposing, it's about a systematic process that's designed from day one to get the maximum output from a single input.
This chart really shows you the sheer power of this multiplication. Just look at the breakdown. Your big pillar piece, that's only about 5% of your total assets. The sub-pillars make up maybe another 20%. But the vast majority, 75% of your output, is all that micro content. The math is simple, but it's pretty profound. A single creative effort can generate dozens of other assets. You get a constant presence for weeks, maybe even months, all without that constant creative strain.
So, how do you know if you're doing it right? Well, you use a new metric, the content velocity ratio. This is your main KPI, and it asks a really simple question. For every one input, your pillar piece, how many outputs did you generate? Your goal should be a ratio of at least 1 to 10. One webinar should give you at least 10 other pieces of content. When your team starts thinking this way, their whole mindset shifts from what new thing can we make today to how do we squeeze every drop of value from what we've already created.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. But now we have to understand the why. Why does this work so well? This system isn't just about being efficient. It's engineered to tap into some fundamental principles of human psychology. It's so effective because it aligns with how our brains naturally build trust and make decisions. You could almost call it the physics of influence. The main engine driving this is something called the mere exposure effect. It's this fascinating quirk in our brains. We start to like things just because they feel familiar. It's why a song you didn't like at first kind of grows on you after you hear it a few times on the radio. The exact same thing applies here. When someone sees your message or your brand on LinkedIn, then again on YouTube, then again in a newsletter, their subconscious starts to tag you as familiar, safe, and trustworthy. Every single piece of micro-content is like a little deposit in a bank of familiarity.
The waterfall also taps into the principle of commitment and consistency. You see, you can't just ask a stranger for a huge commitment right away. So you start small. You offer up a 30-second video. That's a low-friction commitment. Once they watch it, they've made a tiny commitment of their attention, and that makes them psychologically more likely to agree to a slightly bigger one, like clicking a link. That link leads to a sub-pillar, which asks for their email. It's this gentle, escalating journey from just being aware to taking action, all guided by the power of consistency.
All right, we've gone through the theory and the psychology behind it. Now let's get practical. How do you actually build and operate this machine? This part is your operator's manual, the actionable steps you need to take to go from concept to execution and really master the waterfall system.
It really boils down to 3 key things. First, you have to design your pillar for disassembly. This is so important. As you're creating that big guide or planning that webinar, you need to be actively looking for the 10, 20 different quotes, data points, and ideas you can pull out later. Think of it like a chef prepping all their ingredients before they start cooking. Your outline should literally have a section called micro-content ideas where you list out potential tweets, clips, and graphics. Second, you have to engineer platform-native content. Please don't just copy and paste the same block of text everywhere. A LinkedIn carousel needs to feel professional with clean visuals. A TikTok video needs to be fast and entertaining. A tweet needs to be a sharp, punchy data point. You have to adapt the core message to fit the language and the expectations of each platform. The idea is the same, but the execution is custom fit. And finally, you have to create the interlinking system. Every single piece of micro-content has to be a doorway that leads back to something more valuable. That tweet should link to the blog post. That Instagram story should have a link in bio pointing to your email signup. That YouTube short should point to the full webinar. This is how you turn passive views into active engagement.
So let's bring this all home and talk about the ultimate goal here. The content waterfall isn't just a trick for making more posts. It's a grand strategy. It's about getting to a point where, for your ideal audience, your core message becomes utterly and completely inevitable.
You know, this whole system is built on a pretty radical but powerful truth about your audience. They are not sitting around waiting for your next brilliant original idea. They're overwhelmed. What they actually need is clarity and trust. They need your one core message delivered smartly and consistently across the channels they actually use, repeated until it finally cuts through all the noise and becomes familiar. That strategic repetition is what builds real authority.
And this is the final thought I really want to leave you with. Traditional marketing is all about pushing people through some kind of rigid funnel. But the waterfall strategy is different. It's about creating an environment, a gravity, around your core idea. By surrounding your audience with consistent, valuable, and familiar touchpoints, you stop pushing
Instead, you create this powerful pull towards your brand. You make your value, your expertise, and your message feel like an inevitable conclusion. And that is how you win.